Good morning and welcome to Wednesday Mornings with Doug. Doug, how are you today?
Very good, Tammy. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. So, today we're going to jump right into it, and we have a question. Acting against the advice of a broker. Doug, what does this actually entail, acting against the advice of a broker?
This is the most important aspect of working with a real estate agent or a real estate broker. Is we, as a broker, real estate agent, we don't make decisions for you. It's not my house, it's not my money, it's not my family. But what you hire me for is for the advice that I give. And if you choose to not take that advice, we need to have a discussion about it. Whether it's just something minor like where to put a chair in a room for easy access, or is it pricing, what to price the house for, or showing, or a whole multitude of things. That's why you hired me. If you're not going to take the advice, why did you hire me to begin with? And that's why it's important for you to have a broker that you can trust, that you can rely on, that their experience brings them the kind of advice that you want and need.
Okay, so Doug, a real estate licensed agent, do they have like a fiduciary duty? And this is just for the benefit of buyers and sellers out there, so educational
Right.
purpose for them.
Right.
Do they have a fiduciary duty to our clients?
When we're acting as an agent for somebody, we have a fiduciary responsibility, and that's the highest, most perfect form of representation. Absolute confidentiality and absolute transparency. That's the highest level that we can give.
Okay, and we have to make sure that everything we do is in the benefit of the client and the client alone, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
okay, so let's look at this from a few perspectives. Okay, from the seller's perspective, let's say you, as the licensed real estate agent and broker, advises your clients to get upfront inspections.
That's a really good one, Tammy, because we do run into that a lot. The way we've always been and done it in this business through the years is we put a house on the market, we get it in escrow, and the buyer pays for inspections. And the problem always was then they'd get those inspections and we'd wind up having to renegotiate the transaction based on what they found. So it's in the seller's best interest in almost all instances to go ahead and get those inspections done up front. Then we know what we've got, and a buyer will have those in hand when they write their offer. So we don't wind up renegotiating it later. It makes for a much smoother transaction, and I could spend a lot of time talking about all the benefits to a seller and how that's going to get them towards getting that highest and best possible price.
You what? I think that's probably going to be a next question. Okay, and so how about with staging? Because we see often in our market, some agents stage, some agents don't. We have a hot market, and they say, it's not worth it because the house is going to sell in 1 weekend. What are your thoughts on a client going against their agent's advice to stage or not to stage?
Well, it's interesting. The phrase is people buy emotionally, not logically. So as a rule, even if it's a fixer-upper, even if it's a dump, really needs updating, original appliances and everything, you still want to make that house look good. So when somebody walks in, they like it, they feel good. And the silliest thing is where somebody's going to come in and tear down the house or do a flip with it. What's there really doesn't matter. But it's amazing. A flipper, a seasoned investor will pay more if you've painted that house, redone the hardwood floors. We've got one out there now. We even redid the linoleum just because it was ugly. Whoever buys that house is going to tear all that out. They're going to remove all of this. So you say, why would we bother to do that? Because people will pay more money for something they feel good about. They buy emotionally, not logically.
That definitely makes sense. Okay, and this is from the buyer's perspective. The next question, writing an offer with no contingencies and going against the agent's advice of putting like inspection contingencies in there. What are your thoughts on that?
That's where our advice really is important. If you've got contingencies in there, we put those contingencies in there to begin with, or we talked about putting contingencies in there. And to not have a contingency in several areas could put your deposit at risk. For instance, financing. You think you're well qualified, you got a good credit score, but maybe the money's coming, your down payment's coming from someplace that's hard to verify. Maybe there's something in your credit report you didn't know. maybe. There's all kinds of things that can pop up. So as a rule, unless we've got a full approval, we're going to want to put, or I'm going to want to put a financing contingency in there, just a short one, just to make sure that everything is going to work, so we don't put your deposit at risk. And property contingencies, and people will, you're getting lined up, you've got multiple offers, and most of those are going to be non-contingent, so you don't get as good a look. You don't read over the inspections very, very carefully. My advice is going to be, let's read those inspections, make sure we know what we're getting, or let's not buy this without a contingency.
So again, is listening to the advice of your broker.
Right.
And we have to remember, with this in mind, and please expound on this, not all advice is the same, correct?
That's correct, and that's why choosing your broker very carefully and making sure it's somebody experienced, somebody that's worked with people, that referrals are probably still the best way, but they know the marketplace, they know what's going on, and know the agents and everything that's going on in the area. Now, having said that, you could get two equally qualified real estate agents working for you, or potential real estate agents working for you, that have totally different advice. Not to say one's, this is a lot of nuances, not to say one's right or wrong, but there's different ideas, and listening, as a buyer or seller, listening to those people is very important.
So, it does sound like, for a buyer or seller, really listening to your agent is important, because they don't have the emotional attachment to the purchase of the property if you're a buyer, or to the sale of the property if you're a seller, to help you get highest and best, correct?
That's exactly right.
And and they're just going to look out for your best benefit to help you make money.
Right.
And save you the headache that can happen if you don't follow this certain course of action we've seen, and you've seen yourself. At the end of the day, when we have the issues come up, you have to deal with them all, correct?
Right, that's exactly right. We want to get you through the transaction if you're a seller with the highest and best price, and without a lawsuit down the road. If you're a buyer, we want to get you into a house that is solid, that you know what you're getting, and can be that home for the rest of your life, perhaps, where you're going to raise your family.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for answering this question and addressing this topic, because this is something we see quite often as agents. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Doug or myself. Our contact information will be in the box above or below, depending on which medium you're looking at this. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.